Hey, what's up guys, Barry Benson 2 here, back again with another video. Now I'm just gonna get through this real quick. Originally, I had like a rap battle planned and another power scaling video, but like, those can wait. Cause you see these views? You guys must love Plants vs. Zombies. I don't blame you. Plants vs. Zombies, very good game. So those could get pushed back, rap battle probably be like next video, even though that's a lie. Because it won't be. And that power scaling video, I don't know when I'll make that. You'll get it eventually. You guys can wait a little bit for me to like power scale the whole Barry B. Benson 2 cinematic universe or whatever. Even though I know you guys are like seething at the mouth to know why T. Creed is like multiversal or something. But all of that's irrelevant. What's relevant right now is Plants vs. Zombies. Plants vs. Zombies Iceberg. I've been teasing this video since like April Fool's Day, and now it's finally here. So, with that being said, let's just get right into it, because I need to ride this PVZ high. I need to get these views before like you guys forget about me, and this video only gets like 40 views. Plants vs. Zombies Adventures. Plants vs. Zombies Adventures, or PVZA as I'll refer to it as, was a Facebook game that was released in 2013 that stopped getting updates in 2014. Now, for those of you who don't know what a Facebook game was, it was pretty much just a game that you could only play if you had a Facebook account. As for how the game played, it was more similar to most normal tower defense games like Balloons Tower Defense, where you would place down the plants on like the side of, say, like a road or a sidewalk, depending on the level, and they would have a certain radius that they could shoot the zombies, and the zombies would just like walk by. They wouldn't even attack the plants. Normal tower defense stuff. Outside of that, the game was pretty pay to win. And as of now, you can't play it anymore because Facebook games were shut down in, I think, 2014. And as far as I know, there are no archives of this game. So it's kind of just lost media. A ton of the plants are not plants. This one's pretty simple. A lot of the plants in the series aren't actually plants in real life. For example, Plantern is a lantern. The flower pot is a flower pot, and probably most infamously, all the mushroom plants aren't plants because mushrooms are a fungi. Removed from PVZ1. This entry refers to how, for some reason, whenever the original Plants vs. Zombies on mobile gets updates, they have a weird tendency of removing some Easter eggs and like fun stuff from the game. For example, some of the codes you could have put in just stop working. The flowers on the main menu, you can like pick off the petals, don't work anymore. And I think at one point the music video at the end of the game was even removed. Yeti Zombie. Yeti Zombie is probably the most well-known Easter egg in the first game, where he will walk on screen a few tiles before turning around and running off screen. If you're able to kill him before he runs away, he'll drop 3 diamonds. He would later return in a couple other games and would have similar mechanics. For example, in PVZ2, he would be pretty much the exact same, but if you killed him, instead of getting 3 diamonds, you would get the Yeti's lunchbox, which would have a bunch of epic goodies in it. However, he was later removed for unknown reasons, or at least I couldn't find them. He would also return in the Garden Warfare games as a boss, and in Plants vs. Zombies Heroes as not only a zombie hero, but also a bunch of cards were based on him. Battle for Neighborville is dead. Battle for Neighborville, or BFN as I'll call it, was the third Plants vs. Zombies first-person shooter to be released. However, unlike the 2 Garden Warfare games, it would die a slow, painful death. And these days, if you even try to play BFN online, you're just going to get a bunch of bot lobbies. Now, there's a lot of reasons why BFN died. However, the main ones are that there was literally no hype behind the game. I'm pretty sure they announced it a month before it released. The game was incredibly glitchy. They removed variants from the game, which was like everyone's favorite thing about the Garden Warfare games. And probably worst of all for BFN, almost as soon as it came out, COVID happened. So it made it pretty difficult for them to update it, let alone consistently update it. Wow, I think that might be a new record. Anyways, that's it for Layer 1. Let's go to Layer 2. Michael Jackson Zombie. Originally in PvZ1, Disco Zombie's design was meant to be a reference to Michael Jackson's outfit in the music video Thriller. However, in the Game of the Year re-release of PvZ1, it was changed to be based on Disco Stew's design from The Simpsons. This is because in real life, only a month after PvZ originally released, Michael Jackson would end up dying, and a lot of people thought that PvZ had come out after and that they were like making fun of him, and that was like a bad look, and that seemed kind of fucked up to keep that in the game after he died anyways, so they removed it. Mass Effect. To promote the game Mass Effect Andromeda, Garden Warfare 2 and Mass Effect would have a bit of a crossover, where Garden Warfare 2 would add in a new imp variant based on the game, called Z87 Imp, which isn't all that surprising considering Garden Warfare 1 had similar crossovers with things like Cheetos and Aquafina. Aquafina's so ass, might add. Anyways, aside from that, I'm pretty sure the only other thing that came out of this is that there's a PvZ Easter egg in Mass Effect Andromeda. Nurse Zombie. In an early access build of PvZ Heroes, there was a card pack that depicted a nurse zombie on it. However, there was no nurse zombie in the game, and there wasn't even one in this early access build. The closest thing we got was a Nurse Gargantuar. However, a zombie that used this design depicted on the card pack would never appear in the game. Peking Express. You all should know this one, and to be honest, I should have put it on Layer 1, but whatever. In PvZ1, if you go to the achievements menu and scroll to the very bottom, and then just keep scrolling, eventually you'll get to a screen that shows some Chinese zombies, and whenever you get there, you get an achievement called Peking Express. Alright, I'm just about ready to go into Layer 3, because frankly, this layer was kind of boring. So, let me just say the thing. That's it for Layer 2. Let's move on to Layer 3. PvZ2 leaks. This is referring to not real PvZ2 leaks, but instead the fake ones that ran rampant starting in around 2010, over 3 years before PvZ2 was even released. Anyways, some examples include this electric fume shroom, the garlic angel, but probably most infamously was the Bursa, which is cool and all, but my personal favorite is this fucking stupid ass zombie. Garden Warfare concept art. The Garden Warfare games, specifically the first one, have a lot of weird ass concept art. Probably the most infamous ones are this weird ass looking pea shooter and the SWAT soldier, which was an early design for the foot soldier. Now, those are cool and all, but my personal favorite is this stupid ass balloon zombie with a million balloons and a gun. Iceberg lettuce in PvZ1. Iceberg lettuce was originally planned to be in PvZ1, but instead of acting like how it did in the second game, where if a zombie steps on it, it would freeze the zombie, how it would have worked is that would have just been cabbage pult, but like a slow variant, like pea shooter and snow pea. It ended up being cut because it was originally planned to be part of a sixth world for the game, which also ended up being cut. Chomper removed from BFN. Like he's fucking Iron Giant in Multiverses or some shit. Chomper was temporarily removed from BFN because there was a game-breaking glitch where he could attack twice as fast as he was intended to, which made him completely OP in like public servers and shit. So they had to remove him, but they later fixed the bug and re-added him to the game. Stuff like this is probably the main reason why BFN would end up dying pretty quickly. I don't really know if I have anything to say for this one. Let's just go to Layer 4, I guess. Cyborg Pea Shooter. This refers to some concept art of Pea Shooter made for PvZ2. Which shows a pea shooter with its head cut in half, revealing on the inside a bunch of electronics and wires and shit like that. I don't really know why they made this. Maybe they planned for like this game to reveal that the plants are all robots or something. I don't know. Age is just a number, sport. Hey, I accidentally put sport instead of sprout on the iceberg. I guess I just forgot the quote whenever I was making the iceberg. Whatever, let's just get into the entry. Anyways, in BFN, there's a Citron NPC by the name of Sergeant Peel. Side note, Sergeant Peel would have been a way better name, like Sergeant Peel is a shitty ass name. Anyways, whenever you talk to him, I don't remember the context, but one of the things he states is, age is just a number, sprout. Now, this was later removed for obvious reasons, as age is just a number as a statement has a lot of weird implications, especially since he kinda looks like AC. Removed tile turnip hat. In PvZ2, you can unlock hats and costumes for some of your plants, and for a little bit, you can unlock a Russian hat for tile turnip. However, it was later removed in, I think, 2020, because that was around the time the Russia and Ukraine war really started to pick up attention, and I guess PopCap didn't want to have a Russian hat in the game whenever, a lot of people didn't like Russia, even still to this day. PvZ reference in Cuphead. There are two things in Cuphead that you could see as references to PvZ. For one, in the Varanus Bon fight, she summons this cupcake guy who jumps around, and whenever you kill him, there's a cherry on his head that blows up, very similar to Cherry Bomb. And the weapon you get at the start of the game, called the Pea Shooter, you could see as an obvious reference to the Pea Shooter from Plants vs. Zombies, as it shoots just like how the Pea Shooter shoots in the first game, and they have the same name. Ask a Zombie. Ask a Zombie was a blog ran between 2011 to 2014, which was officially run by PopCap. The blog was pretty simple. You could post a question and Newspaper Zombie would answer it for you. There's some pretty interesting stuff on here. For example, Newspaper states that zombies get smarter every time they eat brains. He says that the zombies invented the internet, which is probably a lie. And probably most concerning of all, Newspaper claims that the plants are just in it for themselves and that they're using the humans and will turn on them once they get the chance. Then again, I would take this and a bunch of other stuff with a grain of salt, considering this is just from the perspective of a zombie and how they see it. But yeah, if you're interested, I recommend checking the link down below, as I'll link a page on the PvZ wiki, which has a bunch of archives of a bunch of the questions. So if you want to look into that, check the description. Wow, that layer was actually pretty good. Anyways, before we move on, I just want to mention, if you haven't already, go vote on my poll, as I want to get an actual answer. I was planning on, deciding after I release this video, but currently it's a tie. So, let's change that so that by the time next video comes out, I can get an actual answer. Anyways, that's it for layer 4. Let's get the fuck on to layer 5. Breaking Bad. Despite how mature Breaking Bad is compared to PvZ, there's actually a few references to it throughout the PvZ series. In Garden Warfare 2 on the lunar landing map, you can find a wanted poster showing a zombie wearing sunglasses and a pork pie hat, which is a reference to the Heisenberg wanted poster. And the entirety of the beginning for the Zomboss Down updates trailer is just a reference to Breaking Bad's ending. Crazy Dave's insane prices. Yes, this is a real picture. Anyways, Crazy Dave's Insane Prices is a real-life store that you can go to. No, it is not endorsed by PopCap. For some reason, they just decided to steal Crazy Dave's likeness and name for their store. As far as I can tell, other than the Crazy Dave branding, there's nothing really special about it, as I'm pretty sure it's just a generic thrift store. Prison break. In 2010, there was a major prison break because the guard on duty at the jail was too busy playing Plants vs. Zombies to notice that the prisoners were escaping. No, that's not a joke. I was originally going to make a joke about the guard being fired because, as far as I could find, he didn't kill any of the prisoners during their escape. However, then I realized it wouldn't make sense because this happened in the Philippines, not America. Fan-made plants. With a series as popular as PvZ, of course there's gonna be some fan-made characters. However, I want to specifically highlight the times fan-made characters actually made it into games. As far as I can tell, only 2 fan-made plants have become official characters. First is Rotten Red. Rotten Red was a character with a long backstory, but to put it simply, a kid who was a massive PvZ fan with a pretty bad illness ended up getting invited to PopCap Studios for I think his birthday, where they gave him a big celebration and stuff. And during said celebration, he got to design his own plant, which would end up being Rotten Red. Now, Rotten Red was just supposed to be a fun character for this kid to just make for this one event and then for it to be over with, However, somehow Rotten Red made it into the Chinese version of PvZ 2. He was soon afterwards replaced with a plant called Dual Pistol Pinecone, as I don't think the kid gave permission for his plant to be put in the game. The other time was whenever PopCap ran a contest for people to submit PvZ fan art to potentially get a character added as a variant in Garden Warfare. Plasma P would end up winning that competition. Unused Garden Warfare bosses. There were a few bosses planned to appear in Garden Warfare 2 who would end up not making the cut. Some examples include Imitator, Super Chili Bean, and Fiddles the Crab. Most of them just didn't make the cut due to time constraints, and the only ones who I could find actual reasons aside from that for was Imitator, who was considered too ambitious, and Super Chili Bean, who was considered too similar to Laser Bean. Conop 8888. Conop 8888 is a military defense document which is dedicated to what the US government would do in the event of a hypothetical zombie apocalypse. And yes, it does directly reference Plants vs. Zombies in the document. Sadly, I couldn't find any high quality pictures of the document itself, but I'm sure if you look it up, you'll be able to find something so that you know I'm not lying out of my ass, unless if you just don't care. Plants vs. Zombies concept art. I'm specifically talking about concept art for the first game for this entry, at which there's a lot, and it's pretty interesting if you ask me. There's a lot of cool old zombie designs, specifically stuff for whenever Buckethead and Conehead zombies were originally going to wear different outfits than regular zombies, and a bunch of other cool stuff like that. I recommend if you're interested, you just look into it, as there's so much that I don't have enough time to go over it all. Day 24B. Day 24B was a glitch in PvZ2 that you could perform on Day 24 in Frostbite Caves, where if you did it correctly, it would take you to a new level called Day 24B, where all the map is filled with plants at the beginning. However, they're all frozen, and it's a conveyor belt level where you get hot potatoes and you have to unfreeze all the plants. It's actually a really cool concept, and I wish they had used it in an actual level. The glitch has since been patched, and no one really knows what this level was or why this glitch ever happened. The most common theory I see, and the most likely theory, is that Day 24B was an early design for Day 24, and it somehow just slipped into the game on accident. PvZ 5. In an old interview with PopCap's staff from 2014, a staff member states, quote, that he's currently working on the story for Plants vs. Zombies 5. Now, this is pretty weird considering the fact that PvZ 3 hasn't even released yet, so what was bro on about? There are two theories. The first one is he was just fucking with people, which is pretty fucking obvious, but whatever. The second theory is that he was actually talking about Garden Warfare, because Garden Warfare was in development at the time, and if you counted PvZ Adventures and Plants vs. Zombies Great Wall Edition, then Garden Warfare would have been the 5th PvZ game. Well, that's it for Layer 5. I think it's time we finish it off with Layer 6. P-Bob Square Shooter. P-Bob Square Shooter is this guy. Yes, this is official. He appears as promotional material for a PvZ mini program. As far as I know, he never appeared in anything else other than for promotional material. He doesn't even show up in the mini program he was made to promote. Carpenter.png. In the game files for Garden Warfare is a picture called Carpenter.png. Said picture is on screen, which shows an engineer wearing an unfinished hat. It's pretty obvious based on the picture that this was an early design for a scrapped engineer variant that would have been based on a carpenter. This is actually pretty cool to see, in my opinion, because ever since I played Garden Warfare, I always thought it was a missed opportunity that they didn't make a carpenter variant for the engineer. Zomboss knows he's in a game. On the map Zomburbia in Garden Warfare 2, you can find a framed certificate on the wall thanking Zomboss for being in the first Garden Warfare game. This suggests that Zomboss, and I would presume other characters in the PvZ universe, are aware of the fact that they are video game characters. Plants can have sex. Disregarding the fact that plants in real life can have sex, It is implied on a few occasions that the plants in the PvZ series create offspring in the same way humans would. For example, in Garden Warfare 2, the Fire Flower's description states, and I quote, "Rumor has it, Sunflower and Fire Pea one time went on a date." The Peanut's description in PvZ Heroes implies that his dad was a pea shooter and his mom was some sort of nut plant. And for probably two of the most obscure examples, in PvZ Adventures, the description for Hardnut states that he's the only plant that doesn't sexually harass Sunflower. And on the Ask a Zombie forums, whenever newspaper was asked why plants like twin sunflower, three-peater, split pea, etc. have multiple heads, he claims it's from plant inbreeding. Fisherman zombie. Thankfully, we're not talking about that piece of shit from Big Wave Beach. Instead, we're talking about this fisherman zombie. This guy originates from PvZ Journey to the West, which is a Chinese exclusive game. He was very soon after being added to the game removed and replaced with a zombie called Spider Devil Zombie. Now what gets interesting is that because he was in the game for such a short period of time, whenever he was brought up on the PvZ wiki forums, a lot of people were under the impression that he wasn't even a real zombie and that he was fan-made. This is because, for one, like I said, he wasn't in the game all that long, so not a lot of people knew about him. And also, just look at him, he just looks fucking fake. What makes this rabbit hole even deeper is that someone eventually reached out to the art director for Journey to the West, and they claimed that they didn't recognize Fisherman and that they thought he was fan art. However, then people realized that the art director for Journey to the West wasn't hired to be the art director for the game until Fisherman was removed from the game. So how would they know? As of now, although there are some naysayers, most people believe that he is real, as more concept art has come out of the woodwork that suggests he is a real was a real zombie until he got removed from the game. I just find this one so interesting and baffling that the people who coded and drew and made this zombie and put him in the game thought he was fake. The player canonically dies. In PvZ2 on Far Future Day 8, Zomboss states, and I quote, "On this day, your brains were collected decades ago." He's pretty obviously implying that the player at some point gets their brains eaten, thus meaning that canonically the player dies. Steve. I am Steve. Anyways, whenever a developer who worked on Garden Warfare 2 was asked on Twitter if Garden Warfare 2 could ever get any more updates, he made a tweet stating, quote, "No one's left on that game. The servers are being run by an AI called Steve." Carrot truck is a slur. In PvZ Heroes, you might know the plant Carrot Tillery. However, what you might not know is that his name in the Chinese version of the game is a slur, as Carrot Tillery's name, translated into traditional Chinese, is a slur against Japanese people. And no, even if I knew how to say it, I wouldn't say it. This is most likely why in the other games he appears in that are exclusive to China, he is renamed to Carrot Missile Truck. Leaked expansions. Finally, we're on the last entry, and I think I saved the most obscure for last. with that being said, let's get into the leaked expansions. Now, this one's so obscure because this can't really be very well known, allegedly, because apparently if PopCap finds out about this or something, the employee who leaked these zombie designs will get fired or whatever. Personally, I doubt it, since these screenshots have apparently been going around since like 2019, but whatever. Anyways, there was apparently an expansion plan for both Frostbite Caves and Modern Day. However, both were canceled. But before they were canceled, they did have some zombie designs made. For the Frostbite Caves one, there's obviously a brickhead variant, like in all the expansions, along with there being a hunter variant, a weasel harder variant, and also a ice block zombie variant. As for the Modern Day expansion, I couldn't find the pictures for the zombies because of the previous stated reasons, but there was a Superfan Imp variant made and an All-Star variant made. Luckily, we actually have confirmation that all of these are real, as temporarily PopCap accidentally used the unused Weasel Herder variants design on their website, and they also accidentally used the unused Superfan Imp design in a meme they made. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this PVZ Iceberg, and that's really all I have to say. If you guys like this, maybe I'll make more PVZ videos, maybe I'll make more Iceberg. Just let me know in the comments. And also, happy Father's Day. This wasn't planned, it just so happened to line up, so happy Father's Day. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.